All right, here we are. So, has been a little while since my last video, but I'm going to do a quick recap for you guys on the past couple shows. So as you guys knew, the last video I was 1 week out, and you guys watched me go for a big cheat meal, which was cool because we were coming down and down. So a lot has happened since then. A lot has happened. Now, I want to break everything down. I won't go into too much boring detail, but enough that you guys understand what the process all looked like, what happened, how they went, and yeah, what's to go now. I also have Q&A. I'm going to answer some questions for you guys right at the end. So if you want to watch through and watch me answer some questions, and go ahead. I'll be just some stuff from Instagram or just questions that people have been asking me. I'm going to cover some stuff. So after that last video of the Philippines, the 1 week out from Philippines, where I was on that, out having that cheat meal, had the like pancakes, stuff like that. That was, as you guys saw, I was eating pretty well all week. We sort of refeeded. We tried to do a bit of a dig, and then the coach decided to, talking back and forth to Justin, he decided, oh shit, you had a bit of a drop. We're going to give you refeed again. So we refed at the start of the week, and we kept doing the same food pretty much all week, and I still wasn't really going anywhere. So he's like, 1 week out, I was like, yeah, go for a big cheat meal. Had that cheat meal, woke up the next day, still super tight, still in really good shape. He wanted me to have a normal refeed day the day after as well. And by that point, after that, my digestion just went a bit off, or we spilled as well. We just had so much food. It was having all that food the night before, and then also having all that food in the video that you saw, and then the next day basically spilled me over, which is fine. It's 1 week out still, but you know, that was sort of an understanding of what happened. So by then I held a lot of water. I then did 2 low days so then I flew out to Philippines, did low days. So on the Monday, I think I flew out. We did low days for Monday, Tuesday. Monday was a really low day. Tuesday, sort of baseline day. And then Wednesday was, I think, still pretty normal. We slowly crept it up. But by Thursday, Friday, I was the most peeled I'd ever been. My weight was coming down and down and down. We were eating pretty moderately, but the weight just kept coming down. We weren't increasing into the week. And then, so we did the Philippines show. I should have sort of prefaced this first. We did the Philippines show. I ended up second in the super heavyweights. There were only 2 of us. The other guy was very large. He's a good competitor. I know him from Thailand. Very big legs. Basically, the look that I brought, I was quite unhappy with, to tell you the truth. Which I'm going to explain why in a second, but it was basically, we did spill on stage as well. I was not where I should have been. I was the most peeled I'd ever been coming into this show. We were coming down and down in weight every day, not putting the food up, which was the first mistake. We were just sort of holding while my weight was coming down largely every day. By 1 day out, I'd gotten all the way down to 224. I was completely dried out by that point, at which point Justin wanted to put a lot of food in. I didn't think it was a good idea, but we, followed orders, started pushing a lot of food, like a lot. And then I think it was over 2 kilos of just rice in that day. And there was like 30 grams of peanut butter on every meal. We don't do macros, calories or anything. We didn't really, I always just followed what he said. He just texted me what to have. And it was just way too much, because come the end of the day as well, I already couldn't fit any more in. And he was like, no, I want you to have another meal and get burgers and fries as well, night before the show, which for me, I've never agreed with. A lot of you guys know me. I'm a very evidence-based, data-driven, analytical coach, and I know what I've always done to get my clients peeled, and they always come in perfect. And so for me to do something that's so opposite to that, already the anxiety of that didn't sit well with me. Like, it was cool, don't get me wrong, it's fun to be like, oh fuck yeah, I can eat heaps, but it wasn't the right play to bring the best look. You don't get to be satisfied the week of the show. You need to do what's right to land the right way. And we spilled essentially. So I was, like I said, I woke up Friday super dry, super peeled out at 224, which is so light for me. I haven't been that light in insanely long, which I'll get to that in a sec. But then I woke up show day at 236. I was 12 pounds up just in that one day, which it's not you're not filling out with that. That is water. That is spilling. And I could see it because I was a lot less sharp. There was a film over me the whole time from a spike in sodium. You can't have a bunch of sodium the night before a show. That's just not going to work. So the reason I was also so peeled going in is because we weren't having enough sodium either. Like consistently weren't having enough sodium. You need to give your body time. You need to have enough, but you need to be giving your body time to regulate the electrolytes and fluid balance, which is why you stick to the same amount. So what traditionally happens and what I do with my clients coming into shows as well is we keep all of that the same, and then as they load, food sources will change to, well, potentially they will change, maybe they don't, but a lot of the time they do, and we pick higher carbohydrate dense foods. So we might switch from white potato to rice, right? And when that happens, your amount of potassium changes, your amount of internal sodium can change. So we need to make sure we manipulate the amount of salts we have all through the day to keep the total daily intake of sodium and the meal per meal sodium the same. Ideally, none of that was handled or looked at, and that was something that I was roughly looking over. I was handling it, but I kept mine on the lower side, which since I've decided to up it, but I kept mine probably a little bit too low, which is why I got so dry, but why I also couldn't fill out very well either. Yeah, essentially, I didn't look how I wanted to look at all. However, if I was peaked to the best of my ability, I'm not saying that I would have beaten the other guy. Beat me anyway. He was very big, and maybe they were just liked that look to suit bodybuilding a little bit better. He's a lot thicker, bigger than I was, so I was obviously a bigger structure because I'm tall. He had a lot more density to him, a lot more experience, a lot older. So I may have still got second anyway. But for me, this has been my best ever look. So to come in and not be 100% was annoying. But that's fine. That was the first show, right? So after that, we head out to Vietnam the next day. Once we're in Vietnam, I decided to run things myself. So I decided that I could do things well. I made the decision that I thought I could do things better, making my own calls. I have a very good friend, Adam, who's some of you may know on Instagram or whatnot as Hyperdrive Hypertrophy. Him and his partner Kat were with us in Philippines, so she won her wellness pro card, which is awesome. So huge congratulations to her. She looked insane, and she's prepped by him. So, and he is a very good friend, and I do very much share a lot of similar opinions and critical thinking with him as well. So we were chatting, and I decided that I would send him some photos, tell him what I'm going to do, and he would sort of come back to me with like, yeah, that's fucking great, that's a good idea, or like, yep, we should do it. Or he sort of would say like, man, I'd probably go a little bit harder here, or I would watch this, and we'd sort of talk it over, and I'd be like, yeah, all right, yep, cool. Just me deciding what to do, but taking some logical advice on board from someone else who's coming in with an objective opinion, who has very similar beliefs and ways of doing things as I do. So that's what I did for that next week. So it was exactly 1 week after. I had no time to fix anything. So already being spilled, I ran 3 low days. Like I went low after that. I was under 100 grams of carbs just to get all the water off that I could for those few days. Corrected it a decent amount. Come Tuesday, actually put some food in, just a little bit more, and water was off by that point. In saying that, I don't know how good it could have been to what it was if we didn't load that much, but it was mostly corrected and I was in a more suitable look. So then we continued to increase day by day, still, but a lot more conservative at this point. So we didn't wait and put a lot of food in. I just went back to exactly what I do with my clients, what I know works, what is simple and consistent, and all the variables are tracked. So I put in roughly 500 grams of carbs that first day. Next day I did about 650. That was the Thursday. So the Wednesday. Thursday I did a little bit more. I think I did about 700 carb. And then the Friday I did a low day. So by Friday I woke up and I was like, yeah, I'm full again. Usually I wouldn't be that full already, but again, I think there was sort of some carryover from the last weekend still, because we only had really 2 days to try and flatten back out or to try and drop that off. So by that Friday, 1 day out, I woke up and I was like, yeah, okay, this is full. This is probably too much. I don't need to be this full, which is good. That's fine. That was sort of our goal to a degree, because we have that 1 day to run the low food, which is, again, this is what I like to do with my clients. Make sure they're all the way full, do a low day. That's not always how it goes, but sometimes you can just keep increasing or keep things the same, and that's cool. But I like to make sure they're full, and then we have a day to correct it, which usually brings out that little bit more detail again from their best full look. And you don't go flat in one day because you're not moving much. That was my goal there, is just run a low day. And I ran a fairly low day on that day. I ran that intuitively, knowing like, okay, how full I was, how much I know I can eat to that flattens me out versus how much it will be fatiguing. And I basically chose an amount that I was running regularly through the prep. Again, this is why we do data-driven preps. We use data from that we've accumulated and understood across the course of the prep to make these decisions on what we know our body does and how it reacts. So I went back to my sort of base diet, my like normal low day training diet for that one day out, which worked well. Dropped a few pounds and woke up the Saturday morning show day in the best spot that I could have been in, for sure. That was another few pounds. That was a few pounds lighter from the weekend prior. So yeah, like I said, it was 236 or something. I think I woke up at like 232 or 233 on the show morning at Vietnam, which Vietnam was my best look yet. I was not as perfectly crispy dry as I wanted to be, which again, I think that is because of the carryover from the week prior. But it was definitely the best look I could have brought at the time. There's nothing more I could have done. It was a look that this is the best look I've ever presented on a stage, let's put it that way. Again, it wasn't 100% of what I known it could have been, but it was the best look I've ever put on any stage. So I can't complain too much. I did walk away with third. There was a guy there that was like, yeah, he's probably gonna win. Like I was like, I'm not gonna beat this guy. He was big, and he was very, very hard as well. A lot of maturity, a lot of separation. So he was super heavyweight. There was about 6 of us super heavyweights, I think. Yeah, I landed third. I thought I was actually going to get the guy in second. I didn't actually think he was beating me. But then, yeah, just awarded us that way. That's fine. Like I said, it's the best look I've ever brought. It's cool to be, I've said this to a few people as well, it's cool to be happy about that, but it's also not cool to lose, so you can't let yourself be too satisfied with like, well, it was best look, so really happy. But it's also not the best look, right? Because it was the best look of what I could have done at the time, but it's not the best look of what it could have been because of the what had happened the week before. So continued doing my own thing for the next 2 weeks, coming into Tokyo, where I am right now. I don't know if I said that yet, but in Tokyo, coming to you from Tokyo for the Amateur Olympia Japan. I'm 2 days out now. So I'm going to film straight after this. I'm going to film again for my Tokyo vlog. 2 days out through to show day. So watch the next one as well if you want to watch me go through the show process here. I did my own thing for 2 weeks after the Vietnam show. So I had 2 weeks before I flew out to Tokyo now, and I was basically decided to just pull down as hard as I could and just really shoot for conditioning. So I ran some low days the whole time. Like you guys are probably listening to me last time watching, and I was talking about how I never really did more than 2 or 3 days max on the low food, and we'd just refeed, low, refeed, low, refeed. That's how we did it, and I basically did no cardio the whole time. This time I really pushed it, so I got back, I ran 5 low days straight, no refeeds, extra cardio, extra steps, so I doubled my step count, and I added on 30 minutes of cardio on top of that I wasn't already doing. I added and fasted, and I took my food lower than what it had ever been by another few hundred calories. By this point, I was tracking everything myself, had my meals set out, all my salts and everything weighed on, like actually written out plan, and followed that. So doing my own thing, and I'm like, I have the experience in this. I've been doing it a long time, and I found it very, honestly, I thought it was going to be a little bit, not difficult, but a little bit worrying, because you can sometimes second guess yourself. But I was so confident the whole time in all the decisions I was making. I changed my foods regularly. I like to enjoy a variety when I'm on prep, and people think you can't do that. If you know what you're doing, you absolutely can. Like I said, if one day I wanted potatoes versus one day I wanted rice, and then the next day I wanted more food around training for a specific purpose, I would do that instead and take food away. When I wanted to drop fat, so I decided, I can probably do some less fat, let's reduce the amount of beef, add in egg whites, like things like that, what I enjoyed. And when I went, okay, I want more fats to stay, instead of putting in more beef, I'm going to put in an egg instead, because I feel like I'm going to really enjoy that. Things like that where like, no, it's not a full, if it fits your macros, I can have a fucking ice cream cone today instead of my pre-workout meal. It's not like that, but it's doing those whole food substitutions are very easy if I also know that, okay, well, these potatoes have a lot more potassium than me switching to rice. So now I need to increase my potassium through the day, whether that means I add, a certain amount of spinach to these other meals, or I use potassium-based salts and increase. So I'm making all those changes to keep everything perfectly consistent across the week, and that's what I did, and it worked perfectly. And I really enjoyed myself doing it too, which kept stress low and means fat loss happened quick. So after Vietnam, we had 3 weeks till the show, 2 weeks till I was leaving. And I decided, well, we got a little bit of time, so let's put some gear back in. So I put growth hormone back in straight away, which shot my weight up like crazy. So I put on 10 pounds like that from show to a couple days after. I went from 233 to 243 morning weight. So I'm waking up in the morning at like 243. And I was like, this is really heavy. But it's just water and fullness from the growth hormone, which is cool. I mean, like, people worry about that, but you got to remember I was 3 weeks out from the next show. I know it's just water. My food was so low that fat loss is happening underneath everything that's going on. It's just being masked by that water. But if that's something that you understand as myself, like a coach wouldn't understand that. They would see that, freak out, push you harder, whatever. And that's the shit that I didn't want to have to deal with, because I'm like, no. I know what's happening. I know what's going on. I know how to fix it. Or I know to not fix it because there's nothing that needs fixing, which was the case. The fat loss is being masked by a water and scale increase purely from the additional GH. But the food was low, the lowest it ever been. The cardio was the highest it's ever been. If I got peeled of doing less than that, if I got peeled on more food and less cardio, then this is gonna fucking work, So that's what I did. I put that in, worked hard. I had a base refeed after 1 week. So I just did 2 days on normal refeed diet. Didn't do much. Cool. Just gave me a little bit of a boost to stop me from going too flat and stringy. Then we went back to baseline diet, the low food, ran that for another whole week, dug all the way until the weekend, which was 2 days before I was going to fly. I ran a photo shoot with a good friend of mine, Lars, which I'll put in this clip now. So this is from that Saturday. This was the leanest I've ever been in my life. We did sort of a trial peak here, so I actually added in some sodium that I want to run on show day. So we basically almost tripled the amount of sodium in my meals and had 2 high carb meals before I trained, to then follow that because I still wanted to dig. I did no carbs for the rest of the day and basically no sodium because it was my entire day's worth of sodium too. So even though things were all changed around, it actually still held on as the same result the following day, and nothing changed because I still had the total same daily amount of sodium and carbohydrates. Ran another low day on the Sunday, then flew on the Monday, and today is Thursday. So here we are. We're back. So today's Thursday, and we're 2 days out. It's registration day. Like I said, I'm going to do a separate vlog for that in just a second. All right, so let's get into some questions that you guys had. So I put a box up on my Instagram saying, ask me some questions for Q&A I'll run on here. And I thought I would jump through them, give you guys some insight or help with whatever you're doing. Do I get down if I don't win a show, even if you're at your best? No, not if I'm at my best. So I was down a little after these because I knew I looked so good and they just didn't go how I wanted. They didn't go I knew I looked so good and I didn't end up looking as good as I wanted on stage. That was the issue with me. That's why I was annoyed about these shows. If I don't win a show, but I'm at my best, I'm not gonna be happy about losing because you can't be. And I actually struggle with that because I enjoy competing. I'm just gonna be like, yeah, that was such a good show. I had fun. I looked my best and I have a lot to be happy about. But actually I battle personally a little bit with going, okay, look, it's cool to be happy and it's good that you are, but you need to understand that you lost. And you need to use that. Like the fact that you lost, you can't be overly happy with that. That's just me and my beliefs. If you want to be just very happy about the fact that you got up on stage and did well, then that's awesome. That's great for you. For me, I'm like, I need to understand that if I want to be a top level pro, I need to be not okay with losing, even if you looked your best, even if you had fun, right? So it's like, even though we're always going to find a way to do better anyway. Like it's not like if I was down, I'm gonna find a way to work harder than if I was happy with the result. But you need something to make sure you are like, you need something driving you, you know what I mean? And like to be your best is one, but also if you can have that also, like, you don't want to fucking lose, you have that competitiveness, you're gonna work harder, in my opinion. So I've always had in my head as like, I've just loved doing it and I never cared about the result. And that was really, really good attitude to have when you're a beginner and when you're a first timer. I tell all my guys that, like all my first timers, I'm like, look, man, you just need to be so happy about what you're doing. You're living the life. You're being the person you want to be. Like, how many times you dreamed of being a bodybuilder? Like, you're currently living that, man. So enjoy the experience. That's super important when you're first starting out. But once you're starting to get to a level where you're wanting to turn pro, you're wanting to compete as a pro, you need to understand this is now your career, and you need to be very serious about it. That's just my opinion. Do I think it was close between me and the winner of the last two? I think it could have been close in Philippines if we didn't spill. I think it could have been close, but I don't think the judging was close there. Like, I don't think they had a tough time deciding that I was second and then third. Maybe the second and third was a little bit more challenging, but also they never compared us, like the both of us. They never really moved us around. Like, we went in, we stood there. I mean, two of us, obviously, they didn't move, but with the five of us, like, we went in, all they did was move the winner into the center, and then that was the only moving that they did. So they're probably pretty confident in their choices, I would say. Is GH the be-all and end-all for bodybuilding mass? No, as you would expect. The same way that nothing is the be-all and end-all. It's as simple as that. There's no other further explanation that's really needed. GH is great. I love it. It's probably my favorite thing to use. I mean, I think anyone who's bodybuilding should do it, or anyone who's taking bodybuilding seriously and wants to go far in competitive bodybuilding should do it. It's great for females. It's phenomenal. Being the be-all and end-all, that's like, of course not. That's like, no. It's like, if anything's the be-all and end-all, it's training, right? Because you got to understand, training is the only single one, the only one thing, the single one only thing that is causing a stimulus to grow. That's it. You can do everything else and you won't grow. And don't give me this bullshit that fucking studies are run. I know what you're going to reference. Studies are run in fucking whatever, people who were complacent or they're sedentary and they used TRT for X many weeks and they actually put on 3 pounds of muscle, or they increased their muscle mass, whatever. I mean, I haven't read the study, but I mean, I'd be curious to know how that was tracked. But either way, it's irrelevant because you're not a sedentary fuck who doesn't train, okay? If you are someone who trains and then you don't train and you never train again, taking all the stuff isn't going to do anything, right? Training is the only thing that's causing stimulus. Everything else is to increase muscle protein synthesis and therefore recovery and therefore grow, okay? GH is amazing. I know very, very, very good amateur bodybuilders who have never touched it. I know pros who hadn't touched it, are now, but turned pro without touching it, okay? It's not the be-all, end-all. It's actually something that sometimes you got to be careful of if you're not doing open bodybuilding. Not because it's going to make you too fucking big. No, don't think I'm going to go there with it. If that was what it was actually going to do, then sure, it probably would be a much bigger deal. But because, well, yes, weight cap for one, but also skin. So it's really, really good at collagen synthesis, which makes you have more elastic skin. And as you guys know, thin skin looks better. Looks better when you're an old man with leather skin. Taking a lot of growth hormone when it's not needed can increase your elasticity, the youthfulness of your skin, which could actually make it potentially not as thick looking over years and years of use I'm talking about. So yeah, now the trade-off is it does help you get big for sure. And if you're an open bodybuilder, you need to take it. But that's why there are some classic guys who don't bother with it. Non-biased best cycle for growth. Said it many times, there's no best cycle for growth. And I know you're probably like, yeah, we know that, we've heard that before, but just give us a good one or something. There's nothing. There's literally nothing. All gear grows muscle. It's as simple as that. That's what it's doing. It's helping you grow muscle. They're all doing it. The best cycle is the one that you can tolerate. The dose is relative to your risk profile and experience level. That means how long you've been doing it, how big you are, how long you've been training, how old you are, and how far you want to go and plan on go with bodybuilding and the risks you're willing to take. That's how you figure out the dosages, and then the compounds that are not affecting you negatively, no health markers being skewed, you're able to keep all your health in range. And that is it. That is the best cycle for growth. Doesn't really matter what compound. Test is your base, and then after that, it's whatever checks these boxes, which usually is a few selection of things. But yeah, whichever one is suitable based on your based on your experience and is not affecting your health markers. Tests plus whatever else helps you achieve and mark those criteria. How come I didn't do an Aussie show? That was a couple of reasons. The biggest one being I had clients competing in them and they were good and I wanted them to do well. And as you guys saw, Scotty won his Queensland title and ended up placing second at Nationals. He was a big focus for me this off season. I had another first timer do the Queensland show and I didn't want to manage them and myself. It would have taken something away from one of them. It would have either meant that I would have had to be more stressed on that day and struggle with my own showing, or prioritize myself and leave them in the dust a little bit, which I'm not okay with either of those things. So it was a smarter decision for me to push it back and do an Asia circuit. And that way I didn't have to worry about competing at the same time or with my athletes in the same show. I've done it before, and look, it's fine to do, but last time I did it was with Nathan, who was just the first timer, and he was very, very easy to prep. Some of you guys have followed along and seen his preps as well. It's very, very easy to prep, so I understand him very well and we get along very well, so that was an easy time for me and that was fine. But yeah, this was Scotty, was very serious, very like we knew he was gonna do well, and Kai's first time as well, so he was having to try and navigate everything, and honestly Scotty's not the most calmest, fucking easiest dude to prep either. I had to really make sure he was de-stressed, which was a lot of work for me. And I was only 4 weeks out, so it wasn't too hard. You know, I could manage it. But yeah, the Asia circuit also mainly just, it was going to be fun as fuck to do. And because I've been living over here this year, because I've been living here, I have leases and stuff, I qualify to be able to do the regionals over here because it's technically a country that I live in. So yeah, you do have to do regionals in your own country to go and do pro qualifiers around the world with the NPC Worldwide. However, this is technically a country that I've been residing in this year, so due to me being able to have documents and stuff, I was able to compete in the shows. How am I doing mentally? I'm good. This is the best year I've ever had for bodybuilding, man, so I can't really complain. I've very much excelled and leveled up as a coach, as an athlete, and especially coaching myself now it's been a world of fun, honestly, and I've been able to do things that I have always thought this is going to work well for me. I know this is going to do this, I know this is going to do this, or I think, and now putting that into practice and it working exactly how I thought it was going to work just goes to show that I've had the ability to trust myself for a while, and it's just like I just haven't had a coach because it's just like I've always had a coach because that's the thing that like it's almost looked down upon to coach yourself, and I think that's because too many people are doing it who aren't experienced enough. And look, even then, even if you are very experienced, it's just not for some people. If I'm completely honest, this isn't because I'm so good or anything like that. It's not what I'm trying to say. It's because I'm a little bit uncoachable, just a little bit. Like I don't really like what a lot of people do. I don't always agree, and I'm not going to do well in anything if I don't agree, because I'm then just going to question everything, and then I start to distrust all the decisions because I'm like, oh, well, fuck, like it's not what I would do, that's not what I believe in, that's not what I think is going to work for me. Like I always feel like I know myself better, and I always feel like I know what I'm going to react to and what's going to work better than what anyone else has figured out. All coaches have made assumptions are like, well, I think you're like this, or they go, yeah, your body's like this and this is going to happen. I'm like, that's just not true, because I've seen the opposite happen with me as well. And when I was starting out, it was very frustrating because, you know, I'm trying to figure shit out for myself as well while I'm going along this, and I have coaches or a coach that would say something like, this is what's happening to your body, and I'm like, I don't think that's true though, because it wouldn't always line up, but I didn't have enough knowledge to understand what could be happening, and now that I do, it's like everything that my body does, I just know what's going on, and I just know what needs to happen. So it's been very, very easy and much funner prepping myself and peaking myself. It's gone a lot more consistent. I've felt so much more confident as well, which means more relaxed, which means less water, less stress, less cortisol. So yeah, it's been good. So mentally now I'm doing really well, and I am very excited for the off season as well. You always get keen for the off season when you're in prep, because you learn so much on prep that you're like, man, I can't wait to implement this all into a growth season and actually, you know, use all this new things I've learned about my body and whatnot on putting on and maximizing our muscle now. So that happens every time you compete, which is why I always encourage people to compete as well. You learn so much about your body that you put that effort in, you put that knowledge into the next year, and you do even better again. So for now, I'm doing amazing, and I have 2 more weeks left of competing. Not even that, I have 10 days left of competing. 2 days out, and then Bangkok Pro Qualifier next week, and then we are done for the year. We'll wrap it up, and I'll probably look at going again next year, but nothing's set in stone yet. So for now, I'm going to wrap up the video there. Thank you guys for watching. I enjoy doing these Q&As, so if you guys enjoy it, let me know so I can run some more. But it's been a pleasure. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'm going to film right now. As soon as I stop this, I'm filming again right now for my Japan 2 days out all the way till show day vlog. It's going to be put together by someone who actually knows what the fuck they're doing. So stay tuned. Watch the next one. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you then.